Hey, hey, hey! Hi, everyone, and welcome to Intro to HTML CSS. We'll wait for a minute or maybe like some more. Let everyone join. But till then, I have a task for you. So the task is fairly simple. Please make an account on Replit. Okay, I am going to paste the link in the chat. Uh, Give me a second. And all you have to do is just create an account here. Now, why should you create an account here? No affiliation with me. But if you want to do hands on coding, like some live coding along with me when we are learning HTML, CSS, and maybe some JavaScript, not so sure about it right now. But when we are doing that, and if you want to follow along, please feel free. And for that, if you have an account on Replit, it would be very quick. It's quicker than having a local setup for sure. So I'll wait for you all to create an account there and we'll get started soon. And I'm back. I hope you all created an account on Replit. If not, uh, feel like we still have some time. We can wait for another minute. If you want to follow along, code along, please have an account on Replit. It's fairly simple. It's like very simple. You just go to sign up, sign up with Google, and done. That's it. That's all you have to do. Love the internet now. Just makes it so simple to just sign up and sign in with Google, sign in with Apple, sign in with GitHub. So many options are there. Feel free to choose any one of that. And now the minute has passed. Let me get started. So what are we going to do? Let's set some pace here. Let's set uh, the expectations from this session. Now this is going to be a very beginner friendly session, which basically means that people who have done lots and lots of coding, you'll find this kind of boring. But feel free to just be a part, help others who are in the chat who don't know much or who are just getting started. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, like, we are going to build a quiz app. Okay, and while building that quiz app, I will teach you about some syntaxes of HTML. I'll also share some cheat sheets which are freely available on the internet. And I'm also going to teach you some basics of CSS. If we have time towards the end, I will also teach you a little bit of JavaScript, but we'll not dive deep into it. It would be like fairly easy, fairly simple, very basic, just to get our quiz app more functional, if I can say that. So yeah, that I hope that sets the pace for this session. It's going to be beginner friendly. We are going to go at a very slow pace. So yes, I think someone in the chat, Jayesh Kumar, said like please go easy with the pace. Yes, we are going to go very slow, just so that you get an idea of what is happening, how is it happening, and why some things mean what they are. Now, some of the syntaxes I'm just going to breeze through it. Like, why this word only? Well, it's syntax. Like, someone decided that this is what it is going to be, and that's what it is now. Okay. So yeah, for some parts of it, some bits and pieces of it, we are just going to breeze through it. Some bits and pieces of it, we are going to sit down and talk about it. Why this? How is this happening? Okay. So I hope that sets up the pace. Are you all excited? I am. Definitely, I am. Okay. Are you all excited to build a quiz app? Woohoo! Let's get started. Now, the reason why I was saying that please make an account on Replit, because if you have made an account, we don't have to do a local setup. I kind of refrain from local setup until and unless you're working for some corporate and you have to do some local setup. But right now most of the things on the web are free, so anyone who wants to learn, get started. So once you have created an account, go on the templates. Okay, on the left sidebar, you will find the templates. So go to templates, and the second option, I think that should be the option for everyone, and it is HTML, CSS, and what else is there? I think there's JS there. So we'll click on that option. You will find this. If you don't have it as the second option, you can just basically search. Okay, you can search here like a global search. It's this option, HTML, CSS, JS. Don't do the auto refresh. Just go with the basic one, the one which is field tested. Okay, so choose that one and click on this use template option on the right hand side. Click on that option, give it a name. I am going to give it GHW HTML CSS intro. Okay, like just as that simple. Whatever you want to give it, feel free to give it. And let's go with use template. Once you come here, you can just simply close this. Okay, why? Because I'm going to teach you. If it teaches you everything, then what will we do in this session? So just simply close everything. You will be left with, you will have three files. You will have index.html, you'll have a script.js, and you have a style.css. Okay, now I'm going to take a pause here. Let everyone come here. So okay, we have a few new joiners, so let me tell you what you have to do. I'll just hit back and back and back and just come till that page. So step one, make an account on Replit. I will highlight that option again. I'll highlight that link again. This one. Okay. So yeah, create an account. Next, come to templates option. Once you have created account, come on the templates option on the left, and then choose the second option, that is HTML, CSS, JS. If it's not the second template for you, you can just simply search here and you'll find this Replit slash HTML, CSS, JS. Okay, just choose that option and then you click on use template, change the title as you want, and just click on, I think, use template or get started with the template, something like that. Okay, once you have done that, you will come to this page. You'll reach this page. Once you have reached this page, just take a pause. Okay, so now once we have reached, everyone has reached here, simply delete everything. Okay, just delete it. That's all I want you to do. Simply delete everything. Okay, because I feel that's the best way to get started. Delete everything, start writing on your own, you'll get a hang of it. Okay, so once you have reached here, anything that's written, just delete it. And once you have deleted everything, let's get started. Okay, HTML. Quickly Google someone and tell me what's the full form of HTML. What is HTML? What does HTML stand for? Come on, use your fingers, Google quickly. And someone please answer. Otherwise, it would be like me waiting for someone to answer. Hypertext markup language, hypertext. Oh, cool. Thank God. People are answering. That's good. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you, everyone. So, hypertext markup language. Hypertext. Is it different than text? Normal notepad files, normal text files. Is it different from that? A little bit. So, hypertext markup language. Language, is it different than English? Slightly different than English. Okay. And what is markup? What does this markup stand for? Now there is this very famous example of what you might find someday on Instagram if you are following any tech. What do you call on Instagram? You follow channels? No, you don't follow channels on Instagram. If you are following something on Instagram, okay, then if you're following some tech thing on Instagram, you'll see this example. There's this skeleton, okay, that is your HTML, this skeleton, okay, and then you have the CSS. Okay, what is CSS, we'll come to it. And then you have JS. So the markup stands for this, like it basically means, it does not stand for, it basically means the skeleton of a web page. That's all it means. And I don't know, since like whatever time the internet was made and till now, whenever they started with the world wide web, it started with HTML. And HTML has evolved, but still remains HTML. When you get into this web development, you will learn more about framework, something called as React framework, Angular framework, Vue.js, and so much more. But at the end of the day, it just boils down to three files: HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, that's all the web that is made of. Okay, it's just this much. You use like any possible language, any possible framework, however you want to write your website in, it will boil down to this three things. Okay, anything that you see, even this particular website that you see, this Replit website, okay, end of the day, it will boil down to only three files, and these are those three files. It would be HTML, it would be CSS, it would be JS. Okay, that's it. That's all that is. How can I be so sure about it? Well, let me show you. So what did I do? I just did a right click. I clicked on inspect, and if you see, if I hover over this selects the whole page, and see what it is. It's just HTML. This is HTML file. Okay. If you're not sure, like if you're thinking, is this HTML file? I'm telling you, it is HTML file. We'll talk about it, but yeah, it is HTML. This is HTML. Anything that you see here on the right hand side, all these colors, background root, background default, accent, primary, dimmest, and all these things. These colors on the right hand side, this is CSS. Okay. So anything and everything, any website built with any framework will boil down to these three things. And that is why we really, oh, you can't see the inspect. Okay, I think that may be because I'm just sharing one thing. Okay, let me just quickly stop sharing and I'll reshare. I hope you can see the inspect right now. I'm really hoping you can. I'm waiting for it. So what did I do? I just did a right click on this left side menu bar and clicked on inspect, and it opened this thing. And this is the HTML that I was talking about. This whole thing, this whole left side replit page boils down to HTML, and these things that you see, this styles tab, that is the styles, that is the CSS. Okay, and that's it. Let me just stop sharing again. Okay, it's interesting. Okay, seems like whenever I try to do share, I try to share inspect. Okay, it just does not show it. But okay, never mind. Let's get on with it. We'll come back to it sometime in future, maybe. Okay. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. So HTML, hypertext markup language, something it means. Let's start writing some code. And when we write some code, we'll get a better idea. So line number one, okay. So for any web page, you need to tell it what is this HTML, what is the version of HTML that you're writing. It's kind of standard. It tells your browser, which is like it can be Chrome browser, Firefox browser, Safari browser, maybe Internet Explorer. No one uses it. I think it's decommissioned. Edge browser, anything. Okay, you need to tell the browser that this is a HTML file and this is the HTML version. Okay, again, just like agree to what I'm saying right now, and slowly you will find the results for it. So to tell it what version of HTML it is, we tell it like we write this, we open an angled bracket, opened angled bracket. I am going to increase the screen size a bit. Hopefully it would be more visible. Okay, so all I did, and thanks to Replit, see, this is why I like these things. Okay, it just gives you suggestions. You don't have to really think about it. See, I just opened an angled bracket and it's telling me that you have to write this. You have to write this exclamation doc type. And what is it? It's a preamble for an HTML document. It basically tells the browser, this is my HTML document. Okay. And where am I writing all this? It's in index.html. We are using this file. So let's just click on this. And that is the first line of code. Okay, open angle bracket, exclamation, doc type, HTML. Basically tells it this is a HTML document. This is going to be a HTML document. Okay, this is going to be a file which is going to be an HTML file, and we are using like version 5, which is the latest version of HTML. Okay, hit enter. Let's go to next line. Open angle bracket. We are going to define where does everything start and where does everything end. Okay, what do I mean? So any file, okay, let's think about a file. Okay, Think about a Word document. Let's take an example of a Word document. In a Word document, when you're making that, you first have the title, okay, that basically tells it, okay, this is my title part of it. Then you have some uh, text, then you have another subheading, then some text, another subheading, some text. That's how you divide a document. Okay, in a HTML document you have three parts to it. You have, like, first you need to tell it that this is where my HTML starts, this is where my HTML ends. How do we do that? We just write open angle bracket, HTML, close the angle bracket, and thanks to Replit, it will automatically close HTML. So this is open. Why this is open? Why do we call this as opening HTML? Because there is no backslash. This backslash, basically, wherever you see backslash, it means this is where it closes. So step one, again, I'm going to take it very slow, so if you are feeling like too repetitive, I'm really sorry about that. But how do you define where does HTML start, where does it end? You open angle bracket, you write HTML, and then you close that and just hit enter. You'll see HTML and you have this closing HTML. This basically says HTML starts here, like it starts on line number 2 right now, it ends on line number 4 right now. So that's the first part. Okay, someone has a question. Is Replit online VS Code? Uh, Interesting analogy, I would say. Yeah, you can think of it as VS Code with the features of an, like, it's an IDE, less of a text editor, more of an IDE part of it. So what's IDE, what's text editor? Let's not get into it. We'll take like whole of the session to discuss. But yeah, you basically get those suggestions. Okay, you can think of it as online VS Code. Yeah, we can go with it for now. We can go with that for now, definitely. So yeah, line number 2, we start our HTML, we end our HTML. Now HTML document has two things. Now there are two things remaining. That is, one is the head of HTML, and then you have the tail. No, not the tail, the body of HTML. Okay, so there's the head part of your document, there's the body of your document, and that's it. Okay, that's it. So let's have those things. So this is where we decided that this is like line number 2, our HTML starts, line number 4, HTML ends. Let's start the head. If you have to start something, you open the angle bracket, opening angle bracket, and then you write whatever you want to start. So that's the head part of your document. Now well, welcome to any stream. Wi-Fi issue. Okay, so well, this is what happens. Like this is what makes a stream successful. A Wi-Fi issue. Okay, so let me reload this website. Hopefully I I'm not gone. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. So, this is what makes a successful stream. I am back, and I'm back from having a Wi Fi problem. Let's see how long this holds. Uh, let's come back. Let's not waste time there. So we have the HTML. Now we have two things. There's the head and there's the body. The name says it all. Okay. So head, and you just close it and it will automatically close your head. So line number 3 to line number 5, that's where the head is. And then you have the body. So that's what we'll write, body. Now I'm going to wait for everyone. Fairly simple. The auto completion works. I'm sure of it. Okay. So line number 3, the head part of it, and then you have the body. Now, till now, whatever we have done, it was not going to show any output. Why? Like there's nothing going to be on screen. This is just the structure. Okay, this is just the structure of your web page. You have told it that this is a HTML document. On line number 1, that's where you told it that this is my HTML document. Then on line number 2, you told your web page that hey, this is where my HTML starts, and on line 9, this is where it ends. Then you told it that there are two parts to my HTML, and this is like there are two parts to any HTML in like whole wide world. Part 1 is your head part, which starts on line number 3 for now, ends on line number 5 for now. And then you have the second part of your HTML, that is the body, and it starts on line number 6 for now, it ends on line number 8 for now. That's it. That's all you have told it. You have not given it any content to show, which basically means it's not going to show any content. How am I so sure of it? How am I so sure? So you see this green run button, pretty hard to miss. Just click there. Confettis. And there's nothing on the right side. It's just a blank, empty white page. That's how I know it's not going to show anything. Okay. If you wanted to show something, let's get started with that part of our code. Okay. So, okay, we have this. Now comes the second part of learning HTML, that is attributes. We are going to write our first attribute. So I will look slightly on the left sometimes just to see my notes. So please don't mind me. Now let's learn about some, like one new thing about these HTML head body. So what are they called? First thing, they are called as tags. So this is a tag. This is a tag. This is the starting of head tag, closing of head tag, starting of body tag, closing of body tag. Okay, that's all it is. Just remember this word, tag. Okay, HTML tag, head tag, body tag. Okay, the next thing is attributes. So every tag, not every, I'm not sure every, but nearly all the tags that I have used in like what, 7 8 years, most of them had attributes. What is an attribute? Example, let's say this page is in English. Sometimes you go to a page which is in a different language. Maybe it's in French, maybe it's in uh, Hindi, some different language. Then Chrome gives you an option. It tells you, it gives you a small pop-up and it asks you, do you want to translate this page to English? And you go like, yes please, yes, yes please, yes. Okay, so, what is the language, the current language of the page? How do you tell your browser? Like, this page is written in French, this page is written in Hindi, this page is written in, seems like I only know 3 languages. Okay, but yeah, you get the idea. How do you tell the browser? How do you tell Chrome? How do you tell Firefox? What language is this page written in? So that is why you have something called as an attribute. So the attribute to tell it which language it is, it's lang. And see, I just typed like L, and remember, where am I typing it? I'm typing it inside this closing angle bracket. Okay, so HTML and then space lang, and it also gives you a definition, helps define the language of an element. Okay, so when we type it here, when we type it at the top, we are defining the language of the whole page. So lang equals, so which language am I going to use? Let's go with English. So the short form is en. Now, homework task for you, just find out, if you want to change that language to some other language, what all will you search? Like, just search, Google search this particular phrase, how to change lang attribute of HTML page. Or you can search for what are the different lang attributes for a HTML page, and that's how you will learn. So that's the first part of it. So we have finally defined the lang, the language of this page. Now let's come to the head part of this page. Okay, now this tag, I'm going to write it, I'm going to explain you, but I'm not going to go very deep into it. So just bear with me. But even this is something that you will find on most of the web pages. That is the meta attribute of character set. What character set are you using? Okay, so what character set are you using? So there's a question, is specifying the language required? So it is not exactly required, it's a good thing to have. Okay, especially if you are writing it in a different language, then it's going to be something that is definitely required. If you're not writing in English, that is required. Okay, but if you're writing if your whole website is in English, you can kind of skip it, but it's a bad practice to skip it. Having it helps the browser more. It helps the browser understand that, okay, this is in English, I don't have to just give a pop-up. Let's say somewhere in your whole document, somewhere you are using a phrase which is not in English. Okay, it's, let's say, a phrase which is in a different language, it's in Latin. Okay, so if your whole page is in English, somewhere it's Latin, your browser will, kind of try to justify, I think the whole page is in English, only that part is in Latin, or maybe the whole page is in Latin, I don't know. So lang attribute helps. Secondly, someone shared in the chat, lang attribute is also helpful for screen readers. Yep, that is true. It is helpful for screen readers. So think of it as a automated AI, or not AI, but a bot reading you the whole web page. Once they read, okay, this is in English, they can change the language, they can change their tone, they can go with the English language of it, something like that. So it's helpful. Okay, so now the next part, the meta character set. So any website, okay, it's using some character set. There are multiple character sets, to be frank. There's like so many, but we are going to use, or basically majorly 90% of the times I have used UTF-8. What it stands for, we are not going to go delve that deep today, but yeah, it could be something that you could definitely look at, or you can read it on the right. But also notice this. So you should not use UTF-7 or something because of some attacks. Okay, basically, in very, very, very lame words, your website might get hacked. Okay, not that, but yeah. UTF-8, the most popular one. UTF-16, another popular one. Okay, and there are others, but we are going to go with UTF-8. Also, it gives you this subtle hints of UTF-8 here. Authors are encouraged to use UTF-8. And interestingly, if you just like hover over it, it it will take you to a new web page. What's that web page? You can explore it on your own, or to when we move through the stream, I'll talk to you about it. So meta char set equals UTF-8, all caps, all small. That's an interesting question. Let's go with all caps for now, but you can actually also write it in all small. Okay, so we define something here. Don't worry too much about it. We'll come to the content part of it. That's where the whole that's where the juice is. That's where the whole content is. Okay, so meta char set is done. Let's move along and let us define something called as title. Okay, what is a title? Now, title of a website. Example, if you see on the top, like I don't know if my mouse is being seen properly, I'm like moving it a lot. If you see on the top the name of the tab, index.html dash ghw dash html dash css dash intro dash replit, yeah, that's the title of this particular tab. Okay, I don't think it's actually seen in the stream, but yeah, on the top, on the name of the tab, the name of the Chrome tab, that is basically the title. Okay, so how do you write the title? You just write title, and then you can write anything inside it. So I'm going to write it as ghw dash html css stream. Okay, so I have written the title. Now let's hit run. I did that. Nothing's changing on the right hand side. Why is that? Why is that happening? I wrote a title. Where's the title? I cannot see the title. So if you want to see the title, you see this option of this custom domain. Then on the right, you have toggle developer tools, and then you have this open in new tab. Click on that. It will open in a new tab. I'm sharing a tab. I'm not sharing the whole screen. That is why you cannot see mine. But I hope you found the option. The option is this last one, open in new tab. Once you click on that, it will open in new tab. It will take some time to load. If it's not loading, just close it, come back here, hit run again, and then open it again. Okay, hit run again, open in new tab again, wait for it to load, and whatever title you wrote here, that would be the name of that particular page. Okay, it would be the name on the top. No more confetti. Yeah, I know, it's sad, but yeah, whatever title you wrote here, that would be the title on the Chrome tab. Okay, on the top, extreme top, all the way up to the top, that would be the title. Okay, wasted long enough time here right now. Let's move on. Now there are some more uh, meta tags, you could say. I am going to use one more that is going to basically define that when a web page loads, it is like at 100% of the screen. Like, okay, we are saying that it's not zoomed in too much, it's not zoomed out too much, it's just perfect. So how do we do that? So we say, like, there's this meta tag which calls this something called as viewport. As I said, we are not going to dwell too much on this. Then it has a content where we say that the width of this page, okay, whatever page that we are creating, it should be equal to device width. So if you are using this on phone, it should automatically adjust itself to the phone size. If you are using this on, let's say, tablet or like iPad, tablet or something, then it should adjust itself based on that width, on that device's width. And we are also telling it that the initial scale, okay, initially this website should not be zoomed in, it should not be zoomed out, it should be just right. It should be just 100%. Very long thing. I'm going to paste this in chat. Yeah. So I pasted this in chat. It's fairly a long thing, but what it basically is saying that there's something called as viewport. Viewport is whatever your screen is. Okay. Think of your screen as your viewport, and you are saying that whatever HTML that I'm writing for this website, please make sure that it takes in the whole of that viewport, like the whole of that device width. It aligns itself based on that device width, and it should not be zoomed in or zoomed out. It should be like at 100%. The initial scale is, it should be like at 100%. Even this web page, initially it was at 100%. Okay, it was like this small. I don't know if it changed for you on the stream, but then I, like, I increased the size, and that's how it increased. I changed it from 100% to 125% or 150, I think, right now. Yeah. So that is, so you are basically telling it that don't do that, please don't do that. Please make sure that it starts at 100% and let the user do the magic. Okay, after you have written all this, hit on run, still nothing. So, what have we learned till now? We have learned that anything that you write in head, it's not being seen on the right hand side of this part. Okay, the place where I'm moving my mouse, it's not being seen there. Okay, so where is that part? That part is going to be in body. So our head part, it defines how the web page should be, what character set it should use. Okay, it defines what should be the title of that web page. It defines how much zoomed in or zoomed out should it initially be. Okay, you can also set this property where you don't allow zooming in. That's a homework. That's something that you can learn. Google that. Can we disallow zooming in or zooming out using HTML meta tags? Maybe not. Just check it out. Okay. And so that's all that the head part does. It just defines. But at the end, anything that you want to see on this right side with this blank empty white part on the right hand side of me, on this, not me, this web page, that is defined in the body tag. Okay, let's start with the body tag. Whew. Let's take a moment. Let's take a deep breath and allow me to switch my internet. Actually, I don't have too much on my hotspot. So I may be thrown out of the stream. I don't know. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm back. Whew, thank God. Okay, what is viewport again? So think of viewport, think of it. Okay, I'm not diving deep into the pixel analogy here, but think of viewport as your screen. Okay, if you're doing this on mobile, that would be like whatever 6.1 inches screen, that is your viewport. If you're doing it on a 15.6 inches laptop with the screen like 15.6 inches, that's your viewport. If you're doing it on MacBook 13 inch, that's your viewport. Think of viewport as your screen size, like very basic. Okay, I know everyone's like waiting anxiously. When are we going to write something that I can actually see here? Let's write that. We are going to write something called as a title. Okay, the heading. Okay, and there are basically 6 levels of heading. There's like H1, that's the highest possible heading. Then you have H2, which is slightly smaller, H3, then H4, H5, H6. You can write h7 h8 h9, and you know what, browser does not really say that h7 h8 h9 does not exist. It will just not care about it. But you should not do that. Okay, so what am I talking about? What is this h1? So we will write open angle bracket h1 and we'll close it, and it automatically closes. How we know it closes? You see this backslash, and we write hello and then hit on run. We got it. Finally there's something on the right hand side. Okay, similarly, let's write it again. H2 hello, and let's hit run again. Another hello. Then let's do it again and again. I'm enjoying this. I hope you are. And again and again. I'm sure you are annoyed, even I am. And again. And now let's hit run. There should be so many things. This is not an error. It just ignores the fact that h7 does not exist. Like h7 is not a valid tag. It's not a valid HTML tag. Your browser is going to ignore it the way Replit ignored it. It will not tell you that, oh, h7 does not exist, please correct it, please correct it. No, it's going to be like, h7 does not exist for me. I'm just going to take this text and put it here. How do I know that is going to happen? I have written hello again, line number 16. See, it's as similar as not putting any tag and just writing the text. Let's wait for everyone to reach this space. What we did, we wrote something called as h1 with hello inside it, and we continued that for a very long time till h6. Things are valid. Why is it valid? I'm telling you it's valid. Okay, so that's why you see this uh, declining height, hello being the like largest, and then it goes on smaller till it reaches this point, which is h6, h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, h6. And then I also write a tag in h7, but h7, it's not a valid html tag. That is why what your browser will do and what Replit did was just take this word inside and just render that. Okay, and how do I know that for sure? Because I tried it on line number 16. I just wrote it like that without wrapping it in anything. And even that got rendered. Like, hello without wrap or burrito. A very bad joke. Yeah. Yeah, it's not throwing any error. It's going to just print it. But why do we write HTML? Remember, it's the skeleton. Okay, it's the skeleton. You should always write valid skeleton, because if you are writing some invalid skeleton, you're going to face some different problem when we deal with CSS. So for now, always write valid skeleton. Always use valid tags. Okay, use valid tags. Simple. Now let's like delete everything here. All my hard work gone. And let's start with something else. I'll hit run again. Everything is lost. We'll move on to the quiz. So uh for the quiz app, okay, for the quiz app, what are we going to do? We are going to start with h1, and we are going to type something like quest, okay, q1. And the q1 is, what is q1? Then we are going to use, let's say, h2, and we are going to type which number comes next. Which number comes next? And the numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8. What's the next number? Dot, dot, dot. And let's hit run. I wrote so many things, but I'm going to talk about it definitely. Like, just wait for me. Wait for me. So, what did we write? We wrote in H1. You remember what H1 is? We wrote that hello, 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 hello. Okay. So H1, H2, H3. So that's the H1. Then in H2, we wrote something like which number comes next, 2, 4, 6, 8, dot, dot, dot. And that's what got printed here. Simple as that. How did it print here? We hit run. Okay. I hope everyone has followed till now. I'm going to paste this in chat so that you don't have to type it. But remember, where do you have to paste this? Inside the body tag. So after line number 8, like at least line number 8 for me, but yeah, after your body tag. Okay, there's a question, but what if I type invalid skeleton? Chances are it would still get printed. Yeah, it is going to get printed. Yeah, it is going to get printed, and it is going to stay there, and it's going to be very ugly because you cannot style it, you cannot give it a color, you cannot tell it that stay on the right side, or okay, this is left side, yeah, stay on the left side or go on the right side, go on top, go on bottom. You will not be able to tell it anything. Okay, and it's just going to be very bad looking. Okay, if that makes sense. Yep. Okay, so this is like these are the two lines we wrote. And now comes the next bit of our today's session. How do you take input from user? So I am a user. This is my website. How do you take input from me on this particular website? I use the word so many times. Input. See, I like HTML. This is why I like HTML. Whatever you say in your normal English language, I think 70-80% of times it is that only. But we never say H1. We say head or like header or something like that. We never say H1. But for input, it's very simple. Input. It's called as input. Now, input, if you close, you will observe that it did not close it automatically. So input tag in itself is self-closing. Okay, it's self-closing. So what does that mean? It means that you write, like you have an open angle bracket, you write the word input and you close it, but before closing, just add this slash, this backslash, and then the closing angle bracket. So input tag is self-closing. What does that mean? How does that change things? Well, it doesn't. It does not really like change something or anything. But yeah, that's how it is. That's how the tag is. Like, think of it as some formula. It exists. It is what it is right now for us. Now, an input can be of different types. We are going to use input in its bare minimum, the basic type, which is type equals. Like, see, these are the options. It can be a button, it can be a checkbox, it can be, I don't know, color. It can be a date, it can be date time local, it can be email, it could be file, it could be hidden input, it could be an image, so many things. You can scroll on it later, but we are going to go with input type equals to text. See this, it's like we have written it inside this double inverted commas. Okay, so, or yeah, double inverted commas. So type equals text. Okay, and now let's hit run. Woohoo! We have a box here. What does this box do? We don't know yet, but it definitely allows me to type something here. That is what input type text does. It allows you to type something there. Okay, following along. Any doubts till now, anyone? All we did was we wrote open angle bracket input and the type equals to text, and it allows me to type text, it allows me to type numbers, it allows me to type, I don't know, dollar sign, like percentage, like not five percentage sign, and star, whatever. It basically allows me to type anything and everything that's on my keyboard. A very like opposite part of it would be if I have input and type equals to, do you think there is a type of number? Oh yeah, it is. There is. And again, input is self-closing. Let's hit run. Now we have two boxes. One box which allows me to type everything. The second box which does not allow me to type letters. It allows me to type numbers, but it does not allow me to type letters. It does not allow me to type ABCD or blah, 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 blah. No, nothing, but it allows me to type numbers. So input type text, input type number, two things. Okay. So now which number comes next? 2468. What do you think would be the answer? Let's take a logical reasoning question here for everyone. 2468. What's the next number? Or if you want a hint, 246810. What's the next number? Is an interesting question. It allows you to type the letter E. Why do you think that? Why do you think it allows you to type letter E? Hmm, interesting. Do you think there's something called as log E? Yeah, Euler's number. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, it basically allows you to type E because you can have something like E raised to E to power of, so 10 E to the power of 2, something like that. Think of from that perspective. Okay, so now coming back. So which number comes next? We know 12 comes next. 12. Is it a text or should we have an input of text? Should we have an input of number? Interesting. If you want to confuse someone so much, like what comes next, allow them to type anything and everything, have the input as text. If you don't want to confuse them too much, you want them to know that, oh man, it's a number. Okay, it's a number. Please type a number. Then you can ignore this part and have a number. Okay, exponent, yeah. Euler's number, yeah. Log to the base e, yeah. So many things are there. I'm going to go with yeah. Okay, we learned something. So it allows you to type number 1, 2, 3, 4, 2e, whatever. Okay, it's not that, it's 12. And now let's move on to the next question. The next question is going to be a radio. A radio. What is a radio? Are we going to listen to some music? You can with HTML, but let's not right now. Do you think there's an input type music? We can try it in the next question. So now the next question, I have prepared the question as what is the capital of my home country, India? What is the capital of India? Though currently I'm in London, but India. What's the capital of India? Let's find the options, and your options are now. It's a quiz app. We could have it as input. We can allow someone to enter the answer, or we can give them options. Like let's run this and see what comes here. Like we have Q2, that's question 2, that's coming from this head tag. Then we have this, what is the capital of India? It's coming from here. Now let's give them options. Now Again, what is it? It's just a type. Okay, it is. Oh, interesting. Someone found it. Someone noticed it. I have started with H1 as my starting, but I've closed it with H2. And again, there's no error on HTML side. It's so decent. HTML is so decent. It does not tell you there's an error. It just goes like, oh, it started with H1, it ended with H2. I don't know what to do. Let's go with H1. But you should not do that. Okay, never do that. Please never do that. Always make sure that your HTML is correct. Now, sometimes these issues happen. Sometimes you don't know what to do. I have a solution for it, and that solution is called as HTML validator. Okay, I'm going to paste the link in the chat, and then I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share that page. So yeah, bear with me for a second. But yeah, it's so forgiving. Really, it's so forgiving. And I have posted the link in the chat. It's validator.w3.org. So sometimes these issues, like, the one that I got called about, I started with H1, I ended with H2, there's an error. How do you know? How do you solve it? You just do a control A, control C, or command A, command C. Basically, copy everything, go to the link that I gave you, and let me just stop sharing for a second here so that I can share some different thing. And this awkward silence, and share, and hopefully it's visible. Yeah, it's visible. Okay, you have these. When you go to that website, go to this validate by direct input and paste your HTML here. Validate by direct input. Okay, click on this option, paste your HTML here, click on check, and it's going to tell you error, end tag h2 scene, but there were open elements. It basically, it's saying that h2 has been closed, but where did it start? Where did h2 start? Okay, it's like going, it's using the reverse psychology. It's telling you h2 was closed, where did it start, instead of telling you h1 started and you did not close h1. Okay, and there is something else here. It's saying that trailing slash on void element has no effect and interacts badly with unquoted attribute values. So you should not have that trailing slash. See, it's telling me I'm teaching you wrong. Always validate, always validate. So let's improve those errors. So it's telling me that you should not have this. Okay, and it's also telling me that change this to H1. I have done those two things and checked again, and woohoo! No errors or warnings to show. Hopefully you learned something new today. Hopefully you learned how to validate your HTML, and this website is going to tell you whatever is invalid. It's going to tell you, it's going to talk to you, okay, in a way. It's going to tell you why it's invalid. So yeah, hopefully you learned something new today. Now let me just stop sharing again and come back to Replit. Awkward silence, awkward silence. Ah, thank God. So now I had to remove that trailing slash from here. So I did that. I changed this back to H1, and now let's hit on run again. See, HTML was forgiving. Validator is not. Okay. Or ask Chat GPT. Oh yeah, we can ask Chat GPT. I think it's down today. Yes, I am sharing screen. Is it not visible? It should be visible now. I think like I took some time there. Sorry about that. Yep. Okay. Now let's take a break here. Let's take like 2-3 minutes of break. You can just go out, have a glass of water. So we don't need to close the input tag with backslash. No, you don't. The validator says nope. So who am I to question the validator? Don't don't have that trailing slash. But yeah, we are going to challenge the validator when you come to my another session on React, okay, React with Tailwind, we are going to challenge the validator. We are going to say no, we have to close it. But with HTML you don't have to. With HTML you don't have to have a closing backslash on input. The validator said so. Okay, I'm going to mute myself and just go out for 2 minutes, be back at like exactly 3 minutes. I'm going to be hello, hello. Hopefully everyone stretched and hydrated themselves. Oops. Okay, coming back. So we left at the question, and I told you we can have something called as a radio input. What is a radio? It basically means that you can select only one option at a time. Okay, let's have that radio. So it's input that I told you, and I told you it's of type radio. Oh, we also had to check music. Oh, there's no type music, sad. Okay, radio. But there's this type radio, and you close it and you hit run. What do you see? You see a bubble. Can you click on that? Oh yeah, you can. Can we have another radio, please? Can we have another radio? And we have another radio, and we hit run again, and we have two radio options. Woohoo! You can click on both of them. Heh, but I only want to click on one of it. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Let me tell you something new here. Okay, I'm taking like so much of time, but hey, it's all about learning. Okay, so we have input type radio. Okay, and first things first, we were able to click on both of them. But before that, we don't actually see the text beside it. Where do we write the text? So you can actually randomly write it. So let's say we write Delhi and Mumbai in front of it, and we hit run, and we will see them. We'll see those options. But hey, this is bad HTML. I told you already. If you don't believe me, ask validator. Validator will tell you it's bad HTML. So there is something called as a label. So you have the input type radio, and then you can have a label. Now label, it closes properly. So once you have that closing angled bracket, it will close label. And in the label, you can write like Delhi as one option. Okay. Similarly, after the second input, you can write like label and Mumbai as the next option. Okay. Hit run. You have the same thing, but now it's proper valid HTML. Okay. So what did we do? We wrote something called as input type radio, which gives us these circle things. You can click on them. Right now you can click on both of them, which should not be allowed. So we are going to change it. Just bear with me. But yeah, you can click on those options. And we have the radio button. So sorry, the radio input, and we have the label. We have the radio input, we have the label. What if you change the direction? Like you have the label first, input later, then label first, input later. You can do that. Let's see how it looks like. We'll always experiment. It will look like this: Delhi, and this is the label. Mumbai, and this is the label. Sorry, label and radio. Label and radio. So you get the idea. Okay. For now, let's have the input first, label later, input first, label later. Okay. Now, remember I was telling you that we should only be allowed to select or click on only one of it. Okay. So it should basically uniquely identify that, hey, these two options, or you have, let's say, one more option. You can like copy these two lines, paste it below, and have an option like London, and hit run. And yeah, so these three inputs, all of them belong to the same question. And since it is of type radio, it should only allow you to choose one option, which basically means that it should identify that, hey, all of these answers, all of these things, they belong to the same question, and just allow one of them to be selected, if that makes sense. Okay. So to make sure that only one of them get selected at a time, you have to give something which is common to all three inputs. And that common, the attribute is called as name. So name equals to, we can call this anything that we want, but this name attribute should be common to all three radio options. It should be same. Common, basically, I'm trying to say it should be the same name for all three radio. Then HTML understands, hey, this has the same name, this has the same name, this has the same name. So, and it is of type radio, we should only be allowed to choose one of it. For now, I am calling it as Q2. Okay, because it's like question 2. And now hit run, and now let's try to choose it, and it works. And it works. Now let me come back to the chat. When I click run, it doesn't change anything anymore. Changes aren't being run. Just reload the page once, maybe give it a try. Reload the whole page, like whole replit, and then try to run it. Maybe that should work. Okay. So how do you basically uniquely tell it that you should only allow one radio to be clicked for this particular question, give it the same name, and that's how it knows. Okay, so we have the input type radio and we have the label, we have given it a name, but it's still okay. And let me tell you this because I know it, just know it, that it still does not have a value. So there's this input. Whenever we, let's say, type here, like we are typing this, so it has a value of 12323. This is the value. But a radio does not have a value. This label in front of it, this is for the user to see, it is for me to see and understand. But it's not, like HTML does not know what is the value of this input. So you also have to, as I said so many times, you also have to give it a value. So the value of this option, this is Delhi. What is the value of this radio? This is Mumbai, let's say. And what is the value of this radio? It is, let's say, London. Okay. So now this input button has a value. Does it change anything visually? No. But this changes things when you start writing JavaScript. Okay. What is JavaScript? We'll come to it maybe sometime today. I don't think so. My stream will end soon, I think. Oops. I took a lot of time, but hey, you learned something. I hope you learned something. Okay. So this kind of actually defines everything needed for our, like, this second option. Let's go with the third one. If this is type radio and it allows you to select only one option, what would it be called if it allows you to select multiple options? Google it. What value does in an input tag? Okay, so what value does, so suppose this label does not exist. Okay, I am doing something called as commenting it out and I am hitting run, and you see, like, this Delhi, Mumbai and London, they do not exist anymore on the right hand side. Okay, a user cannot see it. Think of HTML as a person. The HTML from this radio button, even if it had a label in front of it, it wouldn't know what is the value of that radio. So when a user clicks on this, what did the user click on? Did the user click on Delhi? Did the user click on Mumbai? Did the user click on London? HTML does not know. Actually, HTML knows. JavaScript will not know. So this value attribute allows JavaScript to know that, hey, the value of this input is Delhi. The value of this input is Mumbai. Like, the value of the second radio button is Mumbai. The value of the third radio is London. Okay, so that's what value does. Let me uncomment it and let me run it again. And you can always click on this open in new tab, let it load, and you'll find your beautiful website. Okay, moving on. So I was giving you a question, quick Google search. Quick Google search and tell me, if type radio allows me to choose one option, what would be the type that allows me to choose multiple options? Checkbox. Yeah, checkbox. So let's copy this thing. Like, for now we'll change this, and everywhere where where there's radio, change it to checkbox and checkbox, and change this from Q2 to Q3, and all the names will also change. Quick question: should the checkbox have a name attribute? Like, checkbox basically allows you to do multiple selections. That's the whole idea of checkbox. Do multiple selections. So is it really necessary for it to have a name attribute? Think about it, Google about it, and find the answer. Let's also change the question. So the question for this that I have here is, I think anyone who is in sci-fi franchises, they will love this question. And I found this question on Instagram. Better of the two sci-fi franchises. And the options are Star Wars, Star Trek, or if you are feeling very rebellious, none. So Star Wars is the label. Okay, think of this. Label is basically for a user to see. A person who's sitting on computer and watching your web, like looking at your website. Not nano, none. And let's hit this. And better of the two, it can be either actually, or it could be both of them, or someone can select all three of them. We are not going to delve into that variety where we only allow them to choose these two options or something. Let's not focus on that too much. So we have Q1, we have Q2, we have Q3, we have which is better, we have Star Wars, Star Trek, or none. And you can always click on this open in new tab and see. Okay, now actually I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to practically show you where does this value be, like where is this value helpful. Okay, how is this value helpful? Or should I not like take too much time? Let's move on and I'll come back to it, definitely come back to it. Okay, there's one final question that I wanted to show you all, and that is, how do you add an image to a question? Let's say you wanted to add an image to a question. So let's copy this, like this whole line, and you can copy either. You can either copy the radio one or you can copy the checkbox one. Let's copy the radio one actually. Let's copy the radio one. Copy like line number 13 to line number 20. Copy the radio question and like come down and then paste it. This would be our Q4. Okay. And we are saying identify the shape. And okay, let's hit, and this name, let's change it to Q4 and Q4 and Q4. The value will also change. We'll come to it. Take a deep breath. We are going to come to it. So question 4, identify the shape. Make sure you have input which is of type radio. The name should be something different, like this is question 4, so Q4. You can also have like any other name which is common for all these three, so that you know you can only choose one. The value, keep it for that. Right now we are going to change it. Now identify the shape. So this is an image question. If it's an image question, there should be an image here. Again, HTML, just like English language, you have to add something called as image. So image, so if you just type im, you get the option, it's img. So you click on that and you close it. It did not have a closing tag, which means image tag is also a self closing tag. Okay, now in image, you like, I would say four things. It's not compulsory to have all four things, but I would say for the sake of greater good, always have these four things. Number one, an image should have a source. Now, this is not for greater good, it's for your website. If the image does not have a source, there is no image basically. So the image should have source. It should have something called as this alt text. If, let's say, for some reason the image does not load, or as someone had initially pointed, with regards to the language, screen readers. So a screen reader will not be able to read an image. It is going to read this alt, okay, this alternate text. So always have like these two things very compulsory, like just believe me, very compulsory. But I would also suggest have these two attributes. One is height and one is width, and not weight. I was just going to write weight. Okay, image. It should, I personally would say, have these four things for an image: a source, src, a alt, that is an alternate text, where for some reason, let's say you have a bad Wi-Fi connection like mine, and your image does not load, it should show what's the image about, what was it supposed to be about. Is it image of like some president? Is it like image of like Tom Cruise? Who is it? Like logo of MLH? What is the image about? What's the alt text? Okay. And always, I would personally say, this is not written somewhere, no one would definitely say this, but always I think you should have the height and width attributes too. Why? Because when a HTML page loads, an image is a very big resource to load. It takes time to load image. So that is why what is going to happen? Your Google Chrome, what is Q2, Q3, Q4? Yeah, you can use any other name. You can like have your name for like the first Q1. In place of Q2, you can have your name. In place of Q3, you can have like my name. In place of Q4, you can have MLH written. That's fine. Like basically, it bundles them together. The name attribute bundles them together. Okay, now coming back to image. So when a page loads, okay, there's the loader symbol, and then in the page loads, the headline loads, basically the HTML starts loading, and it comes to a point where it starts loading the image. But since image is heavy, it's like a pictures are heavy. If your bandwidth is not too much, it's going to take some time to load. So you want to skip that loading of image and you want to go down. The height and width attribute, it basically tells your browser, it tells Chrome, it tells Firefox, hey, leave these many pixels on the screen and then go down. Okay, like leave the space. An image is of size, let's say 100 cross 100 in height, 100 in width. It tells your browser, leave 100 pixels on in height, leave 100 pixels in width, and then go down, then load the other content. If you don't have that, let's say browser will think, okay, is this image of size 100 cross 100? I don't know, let's leave 100 cross 100. And your image is of like 200 cross 200. Then there would be a glitch. Okay, there would be like this collapsing of content. It would like squeeze in or spread out, and page would suffer. Your page is going to suffer. It's going to additionally reload, kind of. Okay, it would be very quick. You would not really notice it until and unless you have like very bad connection. But yeah, it will like, when the image finally loads and browser only left 100 cross 100, thinking that maybe it's like 100 cross 100, but your image was like 200 cross 200, then it's going to squeeze all the content below, and that's not a very good experience. And that is my personal opinion. So always have the height and width. Now, where does this image come from? I'm going to Google this, and I'm going to paste the link in the chat. So I'm going to Google for triangle image, and I'm going to go, like, I'm Googling this, and I went to the images, and I am going to copy image address. I'm going to paste it in chat, so you don't have to search for it. Thank you, Wikimedia. And I'm going to add that in this src. And then what is this image about? Well, you can definitely click on that link, and it's a valid link. I'm not spamming you. And It's a shape. You can either give it the name of the shape, but hey, this is a quiz. Oops, I don't know how to spell triangle. Yeah, but this is a quiz. If someone is very smart like you, who will know that, hey, I can read the alt text and know the answer, that is why I will say this is a shape, a geometrical shape. So this is completely on you. You can even write like this is image of like some actor. This is portrait photo of some actor, and HTML wouldn't complain. Even that W3 validator link that I shared, even that wouldn't complain. They don't know what the image is, but this is for the greater good. You should tell it. Even on Twitter, you have that option. Okay, you have that option where you upload an image on Twitter. It asks you, do you want to provide an alt tag? I think there's this option of providing the name of the image and description on Discord also. So please do that. You're shaping up the AI. Next, as I told you, give it a height and width. This is to tell it that, hey, leave this much space. Now, give it here, and you will find that actually it also gives a height and width to your actual image. How do I know that? Let's hit on run. You see this size? So instead of 100, if you have like this at 300, height as 300, width as 100, you hit this. It is also giving that size to this particular image too. Is alt the description below an image? No, that is different. We are going to come to that. Uh, so this alt text, it's not visible to the naked eye. Okay, it's not visible to user. It's like, think of it as hidden behind the image. It's always like, think of it as something which is hidden behind the image. So it's not visible to user, it's visible to screen reader, it's visible to browser. The browser can see it, user cannot, until and unless the image breaks. Okay, until and unless the image breaks. Okay, so yeah, you can give it a height and width, and I would say giving it a height and width is a good choice. Now this is not Delhi, Mumbai, or London. It's, the options are triangle, and it's a circle. No way someone's going to believe it's circle. Or it's square. Come on. No one's going to say it's a square. Okay. So we got this. And can we only select one option at a time? Yep. Whew. Ah, wow. That feels nice. That feels good. So how would a student who plans to cheat be able to read triangle? Okay. Yeah. So if you remember, if you like do a, not right click here, but if you like, click on this open sidebar, and on this gray area you do a right click and you click on this inspect. Okay, click on that inspect option, something will open. So I think I'll have to stop sharing and show that to you. Okay, let me do that. I will do that. So what I'm going to do is, please everyone, open this, click on this link, this open in new tab. Okay, once you have done that, I'm going to just stop sharing for a bit here, and I'm going to reshare, and I'm going to, yeah, you will see something like this. Now on this white space, do a right click and click on this inspect, the last option. It's like the last option for me, inspect. And doc type HTML, we wrote that. HTML lang equals to English, we wrote that. This is the head tag. Okay, we wrote that. This is the body tag, we wrote that again. This is h1, and which number comes, this and this and this. And let's come to image, and you can see it here. So it's not visible until and unless, okay, let me modify my statement. It's not visible until and unless someone does this inspect element. And that's how a student would be able to cheat. And it seems like it's not being seen on the stream. Dumb of me. Okay, hopefully it's now being seen. You should be able to see the inspect. Okay, if you are able to see inspect, and what you have to do is right click on inspect, and if you do that, you should be able to see something here. Click on the first one. I don't know if it's still visible. Like, I've been trying to do it. I'm also sharing the whole screen right now, so it should be, but I don't know what's happening. Click on this inspect. Is it still is it visible? Is it visible? Okay, finally inspect. Okay, so inspect, you have to do a right click, you have to click on inspect, and you will come to this first option. This doc type HTML, we wrote that HTML lang, the head and the body tag. So if you see question 1 h2, then input type number, then question 2, then this, all these things, these are the things that we wrote. And if you see here, alt equals to geometrical shape. Okay, so if a student is smart enough like you, they can do an inspect and see, read the alt tag. Okay, so yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if I have to modify my statement, what I'm trying to say is that it's visible if you are doing an inspect. And I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to share Replit. Okay, now one quick thing, but I don't know where that option is. I know it's somewhere here. Somewhere there's an option. Or if you find it, just let me know. There's an option somewhere which allows you to format the code. Okay, it allows you to like beautify this code. I remember it's somewhere here, but I don't see it right now, and I don't want to spend too much time searching for it. So yeah, but there is some option where you can like format the code, beautify it, all those words. I think if you close this, and oops, I still don't see it. Should not have closed it. Damn. Open pane and web view, and this comes here. Okay. Oops, sorry, I don't see it yet. But yeah, there's some option where you can format this. So this would be nicely formatted. Okay, but yeah, I hope that gives you some idea. Let's quickly move on to CSS. Now, CSS is kind like very simple actually. Okay, till you actually start designing things based on the UI designs that you get. And The little square button that says format code. Yeah, 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 yeah. If you see that, yes. If you see that, yes. I am, I don't know. I think I'm blind. I'm going blind or what? I don't see it, at least not on my screen. Somewhere, yeah, if you find it right below run button, right below run button. I think, did I zoom in a lot? That's why? Nope. Sorry. If you see it, yeah, click on that. It would nicely format your code, beautify your code. Let's come to CSS. So now CSS, let's come to this style.css file. Okay, come to that style.css file. There's nothing there, it's empty, and we are going to write a quick CSS. Why do I say a quick CSS? Because I'm running out of time actually. So I'm going to write a quick CSS, but we are not going to rush it. So the CSS that I'm going to write is, it's going to change color for this Q1, this letter Q, this number 1, and this colon. What was this Q1 and colon? What was it? What was it? It was H1. It was inside H1 tag. So in CSS, you can actually write multiple ways. You can select something in multiple ways. We are going to find the first way. The first way to select something is see which tag is it wrapped around. Okay, it is also wrapped around body tag. H1 is inside, like this Q1, it's inside the body tag also. It's also inside this HTML tag. But you have to find the nearest tag to it. So, okay, what was I trying to say? I was saying that this Q1 is wrapped inside HTML tag. It's also wrapped inside body tag. It's not wrapped inside head tag. That we know for sure. Why? Because head starts on line 3, ends on line 7. So it's wrapped inside HTML tag, it's wrapped inside body tag, it's wrapped inside H1 tag, which is the tag very near to it, like the nearest. It's H1 tag. So that's what we are going to use. We are going to say H1, and then in CSS you have these things called as curly brackets, because I said so. And inside this you can change the color. You can change the color of this. So what color do we want? We want it to be of color colon, and everything is like this. On the left hand side you have again the CSS attribute, then you have colon, and then on the right hand side, if it's not a number, it will always be in double inverted commas for most of the things. Yeah. But yeah, like just follow along for now. So color, and you can say it will be of red color. You can add a semicolon, and you can hit run, and nothing changed. Oops, why did nothing change? Because, okay, because I have a reason for it. There's this HTML file, there's this CSS file. HTML has H1, CSS has H1, but do these two files know each other? Do they talk to each other? Nope. So we have to make them talk to each other. How do you make two things talk to each other? You basically import this file into this. Like everything will be imported in HTML. That's the skeleton. Okay, so if the skeleton needs to import everything, it needs to import the style, it needs to import JavaScript, everything. Okay, so we have to import this style.css. You can import it anywhere in the head tag. Okay, anywhere in the head tag. So like before line number, like after line number 3, or after line number 4, or after line number 5, after line number 6, anywhere. I like to keep things clean, so I will import it like after line number 5, like just basically just before title. So to import something, okay, to import a style file into your HTML, you write something called as link. Okay, you write something called as a link, and you are basically saying that, hey, can you please link this file? Which file? This style.css. You say that link, and what is the reference file? What are you trying to refer to? You are trying to refer to style, that is the name, dot css, and then you do a closing, and see, it did not close, so basically it's self closing tag. Okay, so yeah, so we are linking these two files. Link href style equals to href equals to style.css. Where did this come from? This is the name. If you rename this to, let's say, version1.css, then you have to rename this too. You have to call this as version1.css. Okay, but we'll keep it like style.css for now, just like that, so that me, you, everyone is on the same page. Okay, so now let's hit on run. Interesting, nothing changed. Why? hmm, maybe, okay, I'm not sure, but maybe we need to tell it what is the relation between the file that you have told me to link and this HTML document. The relation, so rel, I don't know if it stands for relation or what, but you're basically telling it that, hey, it's a style sheet, it is going to give you the colors that you want, and still did not work. Why is it not working? Oh, I think I wrote it wrong. I think, yeah, red stands like this, and whew, thank god this changed. Okay, can I remove this and try it? Let's see. No, the relation still needs to be there. The relation needs to be there. You should tell it that, hey, this is your style sheet. In style.css, I like added things in double inverted. No, it should not be in double inverted. It should be just like that. Okay, the color should be just like that. It should be like red, like this. And then you can hit run, and everything changed. So anything that has this h1 tag around it will change its color. Now, CSS, what does CSS stand for? CSS, the name, okay, and every time this happens, every time you have a issue in the color or in the style of your page, it's always going to be because, and it says it in the full form of CSS, it's a cascading style sheet. Google it, but mostly it is cascading style sheet. Okay, and what does that mean? The first word, that's the most important part. Cascade. Cascade basically means that it's like a domino. You have seen domino, like you have like those things standing, like all those rectangular things, and then you make the first one fall and everything else falls, and the last one will fall at the last, like domino. Okay, domino. And cascading. Okay, cascading is one falls, one falls, one falls, and the last one, that is what is going to be applied to your HTML. What do I mean? So I have this h1, which is color red. You have seen this color red on the right side. If I copy this, so I copy line number 1 2 3, paste it here, and I change color to, let's say, green. What would be the color of this h1? Would it be red? Would it be green? Or what would it be? So, cascade, what is the last color? If we start reading from line number 1, we'll say, hey, it was red first, but when we reached here, it was green. So the answer should be green. Will it be? Will it be not? Let's see. It's green. But if you do this like very quickly, if you refresh it, so it's black first, if you see. Okay, I don't know if it's like visible to you on stream. It's black first. Okay, and it's like very split of a second, it will be red, and then it would be green. It's changing colors, based on what is being applied at multiple stages. Now, there's this interesting question. What if I don't want it to work like dominoes? What if I want Q1, Q2, Q3 to be red and Q4 to be blue? Well, your question is going to be answered. Woohoo! How am I going to answer that? So, as I said, anything that you want to style, find the nearest tag. But H1 tag is repeated so many times. So we need to give it a new tag. We need to use some attribute which gives it a unique tag. So there are actually, there are actually two attributes which allow you to give a new tag, like a new name to it. Sorry. The attribute is called as class. Okay. So class basically tells you that, hey, this h1, if it has a class of my q1, q2, q3, like you can call it anything that you want. Okay, you can call it like mlh, you can call it gsw, anything that you want, but it should be understandable. It should be understandable for the next person who comes to code. They should know that what does this stand for, like, yeah, something like that. So you can give it a class and then you can copy this class to Q1, Q2, and also to Q3. And for Q4, we'll have a different class. We'll say this has a my Q4 as the class name. What did we do? We added a attribute of class equals to, and we told it like, hey, this will have the class of my dash q1 dash q2 dash q3. You can call it anything that you want, but make sure it's understandable. Right now it's not understandable, but yeah, whenever you are making it, please make sure it's understandable. And wherever you want to repeat it, you can repeat the name of the class multiple times. So you can take class which you define on line number 10, you can use it on line number 14, you can use it on line number 23. And if you want a different class, you can define a different class like I did on line number 32. And now let's go to style.css. Let's keep this. And what did we define? We defined my dash q1 dash q2 dash q3. And we do this the way we did here. Now there's one slight difference. H1, it's a tag. It's a defined tag in HTML itself. Okay, it's like HTML syntax. But this my q1, q2, q3, it's not HTML syntax. We defined it. We are the creator. So to tell CSS that this is my defined class, you put a dot. So if it's a class, you put a dot. And now let's give it a color. Let's say we want this to be brown. And if it is my dot my dash q4, it should be, let's say, blue. No, not black, blue. And don't forget the semicolons. And let's hit on run. What would be the color? What would be the color? Let's have a quick guessing game. What would be the color? There's red, there's green, there's brown, there's blue. I think I gave the answer already. Let's not waste time. Let's hit on run, and Q1 is brown, Q2 is brown, Q3 is brown, Q4 is blue. Woohoo! We can like remove this because it's not being actually applied. All our H1s are covered. But let's say if you have a H1 tag which does not have this class, let's say q3, I remove this. Okay, so if you have something which does not have a class, it will be of color what, red or green? Let's see. So q1, it has this particular class, so that's why it's colored brown. Q2 has this class, so it's colored brown. Q3 does not have a class, so Q3, what was the tag type? It was H1. If it was H1, H1 should have color red, and then H1 should have color green. What's the last color for H1 tag? Green. So that's why it's green. And then Q4 has the class of my dash Q4. Okay. So that's why it has the color blue. Cool. Pretty simple, right? No, it's not. But you get a hang of it. So this is how you can define what color you want. Okay, you want Q1, Q2, Q3 to be red and Q4 to be blue. You can do that. Now there's one question: how do you use RGB colors? Well, you have answered it, RGB, and then you put a bracket and you can write 255 comma 123 comma 78. I don't know what color it is. Oh, it's orange apparently. And let's hit run. Let's keep this as 65. Okay, it's dark green. So dark green should be applied to Q3. Will it? Yes, it did. Nice. And there's something called as RGBA also, where you have this fourth parameter of opacity. You can say it's like zero point 0.5, like 50% opacity. You see this? It's like faded. If you have like 0.1 and then you hit a run, you see Q3 has faded too much. If you have like 1, then it's like 100% opacity. Okay, and it's like proper. So you have RGB, you have RGBA. A stands for alpha. Okay, okay. So that's one way. I have only 7 minutes left. I'm going to teach you one or two more tags, and I think that should be it. So we have color attribute, and we have many more attributes. I am going to choose, let's say, one attribute. Which one should I choose? Like, I had written so much. So if you have seen my Discord message about this particular session, you will find a GitHub link in that message. It is private for now, so it's going to give you 404 error. But after the end of this stream, I'm going to make it public, and you'll find a very good, nice looking quiz app, okay, on there with some colors, and it also has JavaScript in it, and it works it like functionally. So you can just copy everything. You can copy everything in and make the files of that name. So what am I speaking, what am I saying? So if you when you open my GitHub, you will find a file which is called as index.html. Open that file in your notepad, in your VS code, wherever. Copy everything inside that file, come and paste it here on Replit. It will also have a file which is called as index.css. If you want to create new file, you can see this option, this like this plus file, new file. Click on that and you can create a file called index.css. Hit enter, and when from my GitHub, you have to just copy it and paste it in index.css. And yeah, similarly, can I share the Discord thing? Yeah, I can. Definitely, I can. Let me find my Discord. Oh, where's my Discord? Where's my Discord? Ah, found it. Yeah. Okay. So 4 minutes more. Let me tell you one more thing, one quick thing, styles.css. And so basically I was saying, like, from GitHub you can just copy the contents inside the file, paste it here, and create. There are, like, I think more files. They're like version 1, there's version 2, there's version 3, version 4. Copy everything, and once you have done everything, come to index.html, hit run, open it in new tab from here, and enjoy. Okay. So coming back to style.css, we don't need index.css. So I'm going to delete this and let's come here. We have color. What else can I show you which would be quick and interesting? Oh, I did not show you one very important thing. I did not show you how to make a button. So let me show you how to make a button. So you have a button. So let's come to the first question and let me add a button here. So a button, as the name suggests, would have a button. Click me and hit run and you have a button. If you want to style a button, you can either give it a class the way we gave it to h1, or you can just choose, there's only one button on this page, so like copy that button name and it's a tag, it's a html tag, so you don't need to add the dot. And let's say you want to change the color. So what does color change? So color, let's say we call it as, like, I want it pink for now. Okay. And what is color? Color, is the gray changing or is the black going to change? Let's see. The black changes. Basically, the text changes to pink. And if you want to change the background, the gray, okay, that is the background color. So background dash color, I want it to be, let's say, indigo. If that's a color, indigo. Yeah, it's a color. Oh, not indigo. And yeah, got it. Okay, what else can you add? You can add a border. You can add a border to it. Let's say you want to add a border of like 2 pixels and it is a solid border. And then yeah, that's it. And you hit run and there's like this pink color border around it. You can also change the color. You want that border to be, let's say, red. So yeah, you can do that. And you can have this like 5 pixels also. Yeah, so many things. Okay, I only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to kind of stop this stream for now. But if you have any quick questions for me, let me know. And with regards to my GitHub, it is going to be open very soon, so you will find it. And that's it. Hopefully, you enjoyed this session. Hopefully, you learned HTML and CSS. This was an intro, kind of rushed through it, some parts of it, but hey, you can get started. You can build a quiz app which has input of type radio, checkbox. You can have image, you can have a button, and that's a good start. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much. I have another session on, I think, Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Not It's like it's going to be 12 p.m. for me in London. So it would be like 5:30 p.m. in IST and 7 a.m. in ET, Europe Eastern Time. So yeah, please feel free to drop by if you want to learn React and Tailwind. What do these two things mean? It's an intro session again, but the prerequisite is you need to know JavaScript. But I think we can do without JavaScript also. I'll give you snippets of code, paste it, and enjoy the experience. So thank you so much, everyone, for dropping by, and see you in the next session if you decide to join in. Thank you. Bye bye.